People are gathering in Dar, that's in the Northern Cape, where President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to deliver the keynote address at this year's human rights commemorations. Newzroom Afrika's Mohlaoli is there for us, and he joins us live. Tumaole, good morning to you once again. Throughout the morning, we have been detailing on this channel the various accounts of people and how they experience the delivery or perhaps non-delivery of services which impedes on their human rights as we edge closer to that hour when the President does deliver the main message. What are some of the messages you are hearing?
Well, Colin, very important that you should touch on the issue of the human rights. And one of the persons tasked with delivering on those human rights, which includes a human right to dignity, which includes access to water, access to decent housing, access to services and service delivery, would be none other than Councillor Rudi Itumeleng. He's the Executive Mayor of Pixie Kaseme District. Councillor Tumaole, thanks for speaking to us on Newzroom Afrika. Firstly, as we celebrate Human Rights Day, how are people in your district experiencing human rights in their area in terms of service delivery?
Well, thank you, and welcome to DR and Pixley, Kaseme in particular. Now people are enjoying the human rights, but of course it's a moving target. What is expressed in the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and to a certain level that we can say it's not satisfactory, but we are moving in terms of delivering on that mandate.
What would you say are some of your more key priorities? We know people here have also taken to the streets on many occasions to protest and sometimes very violently to say that, you know, all these years into the democratic dispensation, they don't have, over 20 years, they still don't have ablution facilities and water. Some of those rights that we take for granted and consider basic. Why has taken so long for them to be rolled out, and what are some of the stumbling blocks?
Well, there are successes, and of course there are stumbling blocks. Some of the successes are that people are seeing that others are receiving water, others are receiving housing. And then of course it causes others people to say, but what are we doing or what are we getting to get it at that level that is satisfactory? But then of course you have competing challenges also that government is doing to ensure that the other ones who are complaining that they get those services that they need or want.
What can be done? Because at your level, you are tasked with rolling out those services. You are basically at the coalface. You are on the grassroots level. What would you need from the state to ensure that you fast-track what people have been waiting for the longest time?
Better planning, which is now what the President is talking about, a district development model, government working together as one. And then of course, but just working faster and stop being lazy, working faster and ensuring that those of us who are public representatives do what we are elected to do.
As public representatives, do you perhaps have a message maybe to the private sector? Because your province is quite vast, and in an area like this we see that there's a lot of brain drain, so to speak, because there's a lack of opportunity. What can the private sector do?
Yes, of course. Now you have experienced it. Why we are saying as the Northern Cape, we must get more from the equitable share because of that vastness. But of course the private sector can come in, and they must come in, and we want them to implore on them to come in. But they must also come in with their skills, they must also come in with their money, and they must also come in to ensure that they transfer the necessary skill, and so that we can have that urgency in relating to the service delivery that we want to advance.
It's not all doom and gloom, because here in the Northern Cape, in Dar specifically, you are championing the issue of solar energy to try and mitigate the impact of load shedding and to have sure that people have continual uninterrupted access to power. How is that going along, and what are some of the successes? I've seen some of the panels. Are you looking to expand that?
Yes, definitely. In fact, there's even more new IPPs coming on board as well. And of course, the expansion is taking place, and it will take place. But what we must ensure that the grid gets now of that expansion, and then of course we'll be load shedding free.
And in terms of budgets, what are the budgets we're looking at from your level to try and ensure that all these issues are dealt with? How much money is going to be used, very roughly, but also in terms of accountability, what measures are you putting in place to ensure that those plans and initiatives do reach the people and that there's accountability?
That's why we are going out. But in terms of the budget, you must remember, as you have already said, that the province is very, what should I call, unique in the sense that the district municipality is not a water service authority. So in terms of budget, it's already constrained. But of course, there are capital projects or capital that we are advancing from our side as the district. And yes, we are moving forward and we want to ensure that what we are having gets implemented.
All right, now we'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much, Councillor. That was Councillor Rudi Tumaole, the Executive Mayor of Phik-Sekame District Municipality, outlining some of the measures that are being put in place to ensure that service delivery, which is one of the key concerns of the people, as well as direct investment in terms of the private sector to create jobs, are issues that are prioritized to ensure, of course, that as people celebrate Human Rights Day, their rights to dignity and access to economic activity as well as social services are prioritized and that are effectively delivered. Colleagues, back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much. Tumaole Mohlaoli at the main event that is going to commemorate Human Rights Day today.